Hello everyone. Welcome back to BFG. Now, last time Sophie was snatched by a giant out of her orphanage bed and was taken across the land by this giant to a very far away land and into the giant's cave. Now, we don't know at this point if this giant is the BFG or not, but we might find out very soon. Okay, so the next chapter is called the BFG. So we are going to meet the BFG. The giant picked up the trembling Sophie with one hand and carried her across the cave and put her on the table. Now he really is going to eat me, Sophie thought. The giant sat down and stared hard at Sophie. He had truly enormous ears. Each one was as big as the wheel of a truck, and he seemed to be able to move them inwards and outwards from his head as he wished. "I is hungry," the giant boomed. He grinned, showing massive square teeth. The teeth were very white and very square, and they sat in his mouth like huge slices of white bread. "Please don't eat me," Sophie stammered. The giant let out a bellow of laughter. "Just because I is a giant, you think I is a man-gobbling cannibal?" he shouted. "You is about right. Giants is all cannibal and murderful, and they does gobble up human beings. We is in giant country now. Giants is everywhere around us. Out there, us has the most famous bone-crunching giant. Bone-crunching giant crushes up 2 woxy-whiffling human beings for supper every night. Noise is ear-bursting. Noise is crunching bones goes crackety-crack for miles around." "Ouch," Sophie said. "Bone-crunching giant only gobbles human beings from Turkey," the giant said. "Every night Bone Cruncher is galloping off to Turkey to gobble Turks." Sophie's sense of patriotism was suddenly so bruised by this remark that she became quite angry. "Why Turks?" she blurted out. "What's wrong with the English?" "Bone Crunching Giant says Turks is tasting ever so much juicier and more scrumdiddlyumptious. Bone Cruncher says Turkish human beings has a glamourly flavour. He says Turks from Turkey is tasting of Turkey." "I suppose they would," Sophie said. "Of course they would," the giant shouted. "Every human being is diddly and different. Some is scrumdiddlyumptious and some is Ixglush. Greeks is all full of Ixglush. No giant is eating Greeks ever." "Why not?" Sophie asked. "Greeks from Greece is all tasting greasy," the giant said. I imagine that's possible too," Sophie said. She was wondering with a bit of a tremble what all this talking about eating people was leading up to. Whatever happened, she simply must play along with this peculiar giant and smile at his jokes. But were they jokes? Perhaps the giant brute was just working up an appetite by talking about food. "As I was saying," the giant went on, "all human beings is having different flavours. Human beings from Panama is tasting very strong of hats." "Why hats?" Sophie said. "You is not very clever," the giant said, moving his great ears in and out. "I thought all human beings is full of brains, but your head is emptier than a bun-dumble." "Vegetables?" Sophie asked, hoping to steer the conversation towards a slightly less dangerous kind of food. "You is trying to change the subject," the giant said sternly. "We is having an interesting babblement about the taste of human beings. The human being is not a vegetable." "Oh, but the bean is a vegetable," Sophie said. "Not the human bean," the giant said. "The human being has 2 legs, and a vegetable has no legs at all." Sophie didn't argue any more. The last thing she wanted to do was to make the giant cross. The human being, the giant went on, is coming in billions of different flavours. For instance, human beings from Wales is tasting very rooty of fish. There is something very fishy about Wales. You mean Wales, Sophie? Wales is something quite different. Wales is Wales, the giant said. Don't gobble funk around with words. I will now give you another example. Human beings from Jersey has a most detestable woolly tickle on the tongue. The giant said, human beings from Jersey is tasting of cardigans. You mean Jersey, Sophie said. You are once again gobble-funking, the giant shouted. Don't do it. This is a serious and snitching subject. May I continue? Please do, Sophie said. Danes from Denmark is tasting ever so much of dogs. The giant went on. Of course, Sophie said. They taste of Great Danes. Wrong, cried the giant, slapping his thigh. Danes from Denmark is tasting doggy because they're tasting of Labradors. Then what do the people of Labrador taste of? Sophie asked. Danes, the giant cried triumphantly. Great Danes! Aren't you getting a bit mixed up? Sophie said. I is a very mixed up giant, the giant said, but I does do my best. As I's not nearly as mixed up as the other giants. I know one who gallops all the way to Wellington for his supper. Wellington? Sophie said. Where is Wellington? Your head is full of squished flies, the giant said. Wellington is in New Zealand. The human beings in Wellington has an especially scrumdiddlyumptious taste. So says the well-eating giant. What do the people of Wellington taste like? Sophie asked. Boots, the giant said. Of course, Sophie said. I should have known. Sophie decided this conversation had now gone on long enough. If she was going to be eaten, she'd rather get it over and done with right away than be kept hanging around any more. What sort of human beings do you eat? She asked, trembling. Me? Shouted the giant, his mighty voice making the glass jars rattle on their shelves. Me gobbling up human beings? This I never. The others, yes, all the others is gobbling them up every night, but not me. I is a freaky giant. I is a nice jumbly giant. I is the only nice and jumbly giant in giant country. I is the big friendly giant. I is a BFG. What is your name? My name is Sophie, Sophie said, hardly daring to believe the good news she had just heard. Next chapter is The Giants. So nice and friendly, Sophie said. Then why did you snatch me from my bed and run away with me? Because you saw me, the big friendly giant answered. If anyone is ever seeing a giant, he or she must be taken away Ipswich. Why? Said Sophie. Well, first of all, said the BFG, human beings is not really believing in giants, is they? Human beings is not thinking we exist. I do, Sophie said. Ah, but that is only because you have seen me, cried the BFG. I cannot possibly allow anyone, even little girls, to be seeing me and staying at home. The first thing you would be doing, you would be scuttling around, yodeling the news that you were actually seeing a giant. And then a giant hunt, a mighty giant look-see, would be started all over the world, with the human beings all rummaging for the great giant you saw and getting wildly excited. People would be coming rushing and bushing after me with goodness knows what, and they would be catching me and locking me into a cage to be stared at. They would be putting me into the zoo or the house with all those squiddly hippo dumplings and crocodile dillies. Sophie knew that what the giant said was true. If any person reported actually having seen a giant haunting the streets of a town at night, there would most certainly be a terrific hullabaloo across the whole world. "I will bet you," said the BFG, "that you would have been splashing the news all over the wonky world, wouldn't you, if I hadn't wiggled you away?" "I suppose I would," said Sophie. "And that would never do," said the BFG. So what will happen to me now?" Sophie asked. "If you do go back, you will be telling the world," said the BFG, "most likely on the telly pumpkin box and the radio squeaker. So you will just have to be staying here with me for the rest of your life." "Oh no!" cried Sophie. "Oh yes," said the BFG, "but I'm warning you not ever to go whiffling about out of this cave without I is with you, or you will be coming to an icky, ucky, mucky end. I is showing you now who is going to eat you up if you is ever catching even one tiny little glimpse." That's all for today. I think next time we are going to be meeting all of the other giants who are not as friendly as the BFG. See you tomorrow.